Hi, hi there. I'm Faye Gautier. My song is Fade, Fade, and it's up for best song slash theme song.
Thank you. Aaron?
Okay. Hi, I'm Erin Butte, and my song is called Alleluia, and I'm also up for best theme song.
Thank you. Toni?
Hi, everyone. My name is Toni Short. I have two songs in the best song theme song category. The first one is called Fear, and the second one is Body Communion.
Thank you. And just for specifics, all of them are official selections now. And then there will be an award ceremony.
Yay. Yeah, look at us.
This is going to be a wild ride,
I was talking over you accidentally, Zach. What was that last piece you said again after official selection?
And that all of the official selections are going to be, or as many as we can get, of performances will be put into what we call a block. We have film blocks of shorts and features. We're also going to have a music block where people can watch and listen to your amazing music.
Yay!
So cool.
Thank you.
Love it.
That's amazing. Thank you for doing that. That's so cool.
Of course.
Great.
Okay, so we'll start with Faye about Fade.
Right.
So let's start with talking about the song a little bit. Now it came about.
Sure. Well, it was kind of, I thought I was writing two separate songs at first. When I got the through line, which was the I'll be the one who does not shut up, which is spoken throughout the song, I thought I was going to be writing a song kind of more in that style. And then I figured out that I'm actually writing one song and that was just going to be the through line through the song. It was inspired just by my own feeling of frustration that it seemed like everywhere I went, people were telling other people that they had no right to utter their opinion about things. If they were a sports person, they weren't allowed to say anything political, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. And as women in particular, sometimes it's insinuated that we should stay in our lane. And so that's kind of where it came from. And then this, like anything else, it just started in that spirit and then just kind of came out and flowed into the creation that it ended up being.
All right, it is awesome. So for non-music people especially, the idea that you write something and then there's what's called the arrangement, which can go 100 different ways. You can have classical orchestra play it or rock music or whatever. So how did the arrangement come about and the recording?
Yes, thank you for asking that. So I approached my producer, Teddy Jacobs, and I said, Teddy, I have an idea for a song, and it's a little different than I've done before, because Teddy and I have worked in the past together. And I told him that I wanted it to be a little bit more electro, a little bit more aggressive, I guess, than what I've done before, because the through line is sort of aggressive. I'll be the one who does not shut up. And I wanted the arrangement to work along that line. So we sat together and he's like, yes, I'm thrilled he wanted to work on this. So we sat together and kind of bounced ideas off of each other with like the electronics, the beats, and just to get the general layout until we agreed on what that was. And then that's when he suggested that we bring in Toshi Yanagi, who's just an incredible guitar player and can do acoustic, but he can also do a mean electric guitar, because what he comes up with is always magical. So really, he's the live instrument. Everything else that we did was in the studio, electronic instruments. So Toshi really brought it.
Nice. It's a fabulous effect and very powerful. The reason why I brought that up is, you guys would know this, but for audience, Man in the Mirror was this slow, thoughtful ballad. And then Michael Jackson got hold of it and, it's a totally different piece. And so I think a lot of people think, who don't compose, that pretty much the way you wrote it is what they hear, and it can be so remarkably different, So thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Aaron, same to you if possible.
Yeah. Okay. So, Alleluia is the climax song from the proof of concept short film Bird's Eye, which I also wrote and produced 3 years ago. And the song is meant to reflect the story, which is a tough as nails music composer learns to see music in a new light as a teacher at an at-risk urban academy, and she does it completely blind. She suffers this massive retinal hemorrhage as a diabetic. And so it's in that darkness and that grief that this music suddenly emerges in her head in the most unlikely place ever. And so I knew that I needed this music to say everything that the story represented. And so finally using that music degree, yay. So I actually took a choral anthem that I'd written several years ago for a completely different project. And I took about maybe 20% of that and rewrote it and rearranged it as an a cappella choral, very classical sounding, mashed up with hip hop. And then we had a triple mashup with Carl Orff's Carmina Burana. Or Fortuna from Carmina Burana.
Yeah.
And so we kind of have these three layers mashing up on top of themselves, and it kind of reflects the relationship with the students in this film, where they have to first meet and butt heads, and then that fighting ceasefires and then merges and then blends into this mashup. So that's the idea. That's the story behind it. Probably way more than you wanted to know.
No, not at all. This is part of the interest of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, actually, you did say something that is kind of tells on what I just said, is that you wrote it as a cappella, and it was presented that way. Now, have you heard it in other versions, or is that the only version you have right now?
Yeah, it's not been recorded as the anthem that it was, but it has been sung and performed, and it's interesting how you can take that soul of a piece and take it out and place it, just like you said about the Michael Jackson song, and make it something entirely different and continue to live, but its heart beats in a different way.
Exactly.
And it fit the chord changes that I needed it to fit with everything else that it was doing, and I'm like, wow. Plus, I own the rights already.
Yeah.
So, yay!
Very cool. And I will say that the song absolutely does help the climax of the short. So it was a fabulous tie-in. You did an excellent job on that.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, Toni, your turn. You got two to talk about.
Yes. Well, actually, mine all tie in, and I would kind of wind it even back a little bit further. So I'm from Australia. I went to London when I was early 20s. I lived there, and I've done events around the world for, 15, 20 years in London, DC, and New York. And then I left and started my own business. And then 2018, I had I basically bankrupted myself emotionally, financially, everythingly, over kind of a cross between a narcissist romance scam and no self-worth and no boundaries and no intuition and, all those things that one does at a kind of Saturn return, depending on what language you want to speak. Anyway, long story short, I was going to go to Haiti to volunteer for this kids camp to kind of heal and get myself together because I kind of lost it a little bit. And that camp canceled 24 hours before. It was like dancing and singing and meditation and things. So I was kind of sitting on my apartment floor just being like, WTF, like, how did I get here? And something told me to put some paper on the wall, and I kind of made this calendar for myself, and I looked for the signs or something, and it's so interesting, the synchronicities of what you were just saying about O Fortuna. That's one of the songs that I've known my whole life. It's turned up in places in ways that I'm like, okay, something's happening here. It's really amazing. And even Zach, your note about Madonna's, I think, the queen of like making music with different composition and taking like a fast song and making it classical or with a Latin beat. And I think that's maybe an innovation that women are bringing in terms of always doing something different, but, using tradition of old things or something. Anyway, so I started, someone told me to write about what I was going through. So I started writing a lot of poems, and, I was pretty deep in some holes. And then I started to go to an improv class, and then I learned about song structure. And then I went to a hip hop something. And then there was a sign on the wall that said, like, a singing teacher, she does energy, it sort of talks about energy. So I went, and she said, what do you want to sing? And I was like, well, I have all these poems and songs. So I like blocked like 1,000 diaries on her desk. And so we just kind of started making music. And I was a complete beginner. I'd never done any of these things before. So we started making all these songs. One of those things I did on the camp for myself was beat making. over this sort of experience I did for myself. So that guy was a producer. So I said, could you record my songs? Then I got in an Uber one night and met another producer, which I then went and actually made these two songs, who's Lionel, that's in the photo and in one of Body Communion. And so it became this project of finding my voice. You know, I didn't speak up for myself in those 3 years I was in that situation. And, you know, I've gone down the rabbit hole of sort of looking how to find myself and to work out who I am. And I feel like I birthed myself as an artist, or rebirth that I always was, but I went away from it for the corporate world, or, you know, all of the stories and more and less, and it's all beautiful. And I'm very grateful because it brought me to music. And so my process, I basically go into the studio with no lyrics. Usually I have the diaries, we make music, people hear noises, sounds. I'm very into the signs and synchronicities, and we just make it up as we go along. And we birthed these two babies, and I love them. And yeah, I'm very grateful for music and what it's done for my life. So thank you for being here.
That's
Yeah.
great.
That's
Yeah.
fabulous. Yeah, that's a very cool
Short story.
short story.
Yeah.
All right. So now, Faye, the next, and feel free if you guys want to bounce off each other, the idea of, first of all, what you're doing now, but then the creative process. How do you, do songs come to you? Do you go to them? How does that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I'll answer the second question first. For me, it usually starts with some sort of an idea that can hit me anywhere. Like I'll be driving in my car, which granted, since the pandemic hit, I haven't been doing a lot of, but something will strike me and I'll get a melody in my head. It usually starts with a melody with me. And then if it sticks with me, then I know it's something that's talking to me. So the song is calling me and I won't forget it. It just sticks. And then I'll go home and I'll sit on the keyboard, which is my instrument, and start just exploring and letting it find its way to me. And then often lyrics will start to develop at the same time that I'm playing around with the melody. It doesn't seem to work for me that if I get an idea about a poem or some kind of a lyric in my head, that I can then turn it around and turn it into a song. It just, for some reason, for me, it's either right at the same time the melody and the lyrics hit, or the melody comes and then the lyrics follow.
Right. Yeah.
So that's kind of my process. As to what I'm doing now, it's just crazy. With obviously everyone's world's been turned upside down with the pandemic. I mean, I'm not getting together with my producers that I've worked with in the past because nobody's getting together. So I've had hints of song ideas and I've just pocketed them and just kind of put them aside. I'm an actor too and a writer, so that side of my career has sort of taken over right now, because I can sit down with my computer and write anything, and I don't need anybody else to record it. So that's pretty much, I'm just working on other creative ventures until the coast is clear enough to get back together and collaborate in person. So
Got it. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for all the answers. Great.
Yeah.
Erin, your turn, please.
In terms of process, I would definitely say yes, music first. In the instance of this story, I knew that what I needed the music to do, so it kind of started from that. I seem to write when I need something done quickly, and it's just faster to do it myself.
Yeah.
It is. I've had a lot of careers, and one of them was teaching music. I was actually teaching high school music, and I had this women's ensemble that was kind of strangely organized in terms of voice parts and just what I had to work with. A lot of this, not so much of that. So I would simply write and arrange something for them so it was specific to them.
Right.
And so that was it was completely utilitarian. It was just this is a pragmatic solution to this problem.
Right.
In terms of the creative voice and how that comes, I am a screenwriter as well, and so that muse is very finicky. I've named her Bernadette, and Bernadette comes to me in the middle of the night. And she's like, Erin, get up. I'm like, no, Bernadette, God, I'm tired. Let's not. And she's like, I don't repeat to myself, get up. get your books. I'm like, okay, you know. I was thankful. I could barely read it the next morning, but I'm thankful that whatever it is, a solution to a scene or an idea or a bit of dialogue that I've been playing with, and I love it. I really love those gifts that show up in that way, and it is definitely collaborative between me and her.
So much.
Well, one of the things that people have said to me over the years is, you know, gee, I want to write, or I want to write music, whatever. And it's like you either have to or don't, because it's hard, you know, and it asks a lot of you. So, you know, do it if you are driven to, and, you know, where you have a muse slapping you in the middle of the night, or what, you know, that's writing or composing or creating. Where, gee, I really want to. That good, but you know that ain't it. You know. So
Right. When the doorbell rings, you have to answer it.
exactly.
Because they'll go away. They really will.
Yeah. And you're going, what? Yeah. So. Okay, I'm sorry, Toni.
Remind me the question again, please.
Yeah, it's double just what you're working on now, and then
yes.
you kind of touched on it, but your creative process.
Understood. Yes. Thank you. So actually, I'm about to go back into the studio and work on a new album. I have a new producer has kind of synchronistically fallen into my sort of work, and we're sort of shooting a documentary, kind of a little bit of my story as well as the music making, because I basically go in with nothing. I have some concepts and a bit of a name, and you know, my work again with Spirit, just kind of seeing what would happen if I take a studio for a week and just see what comes out. So I'm kind of, you know, very also new into the vocal. As I said, I've probably only been doing any of this acting, singing. I mean, I danced for many years when I was younger, but all of this new creative stuff, writing the same for maybe the last year or two. So it's, for me, it's a practice. And I think kind of what you were saying is, I've been doing the morning pages, I think about creative process and rituals. You know, I've been writing 3 pages every day since about April this year, almost a year, if not over.
Good.
And, you know, there's times when I do it and it's like 3 in the morning and I'm like, well, and I read it the next day and I have no idea what it was. I think I'm actually writing multiple stories in different sleep states, you know,
Yes.
but I really made a commitment, you know, and I think that's kind of the same as with my art. I made a commitment to paint. So then I've maybe done about 200-300 paintings. So I've just been cataloging, and I think my last year has been really sort of incubating and creating a body of work in different things. Some days I write, some days, you know, I paint, some days I make music, some days I'm just working on having a bath and making dinner for myself. Like, it's been very kind of gentle. I've also been traveling. I went to Chile for 3 months on a sort of pilgrimage. So I spent December through March traveling solo around the country, just kind of meeting people and making music and, you know,
This was during the
swimming in
pandemic
lakes.
then.
And, beg your pardon?
During the pandemic, you did that?
This December, I left 23rd of December and got back on the 22nd of March this year. So, yeah.
Wow.
Well, that's fantastic. I'm glad to know someone was able to travel out.
Right?
Mucho profundo in every way, like crazy. So that, you know, I've just been kind of just letting it flow. And then I think going back to the sort of process, I think sometimes I don't know what I don't know. Like, I listen to both of you and see how you can go play your instruments and make the music. Like, I just have so much respect because I've never known any of those things. So for me, it's like a kid learning and meeting all these people. I'm like, oh, you know how to do that? Okay, cool. What if we did this and this together? So I feel like I'm just a kid playing with all these different people and, you know, making it up as I go along and meeting people and, you know, following my heart. And at the same time, you know, trying to be human in this random world and, you know, bring my own happiness in a way.
Well, what you've touched, that is fabulous. What you've touched on that I think is very important is that there is some loneliness, if you will, in the creative process where you've got to struggle with whatever, you know, muse or whatever other phrase you want. At the same time, it is a phenomenally collaborative process. You do rely on the live musicians, the producers, the singers, the people who can help bring it to life. Just as, again, it's a film festival, so I'm going to touch on script writing, where you do rely on a director with vision or actors who know how to say the line, no, not like that, type thing, And the thing with creativity, there's very few creative processes where you don't rely on others. Even with novels, people say if you want to write by yourself, write a novel. Well, no, you need your editors and your proofreaders.
Yeah, very true.
The people. So you have to be solitary and garrulous at the same time.
Right.
That can be quite a challenge. It's a skill
So
set.
true.
And Toni, you in particular, it sounds like you're great at inspiring other people to pick up your pictures, if you will, in your head. You're able to communicate to it so that they can translate it into musical form, which is phenomenal. So anyway, I want to thank you guys for writing incredible music and submitting it to us. I'm so proud that they're official selections. And thank you for taking the time now to show us a little window of the amazing talent you guys have.
Absolutely. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to share ourselves with you. Really great.
Yes. And it was nice to meet you, ladies, and thank you for all the work that you do to bring it together, because I know these things aren't easy after doing that rounds in my past lives. So thank you very much.
That's right.
All right. You guys take care. Thank you so much.